Welcome to Healing the Spirit, holistic approaches to well-being. My name's Sophia. I have the honor of co-creating Sacred You and also the honor and excitement of facilitating this wonderful panel with these amazing women who we're going to introduce very soon on a topic that is close to my heart. Said healing the spirit, but holistic approaches to well-being, especially for me in my experience of being born with a genetic condition and going down the road of pharmaceuticals, but now also taking a holistic approach and how much different that is. So we're going to be having a chat to explore the deeper layers of spiritual and emotional healing through our natural methods, our intuitive methods, our ancient wisdom that has been around for so long. So let us introduce our beautiful panelists today and our beautiful Rollie, or otherwise known as Gigato Miguan Clay, if I've got that right. Rollie, please tell us a little bit about yourself.
So that was exactly right. So Gigido Mingwenkwe is my spirit name, which means talking feather woman. And I have, over the last 10 years, learned to embrace and embody this part of myself. I work with moon medicine, and so I use holistic methods and bring everything together with the cycles of the moon and other cycles, and looking forward to having this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you ever so much. And our beautiful Tywanah, tell us about it yourself and what interests you in today's topic.
Hello, everyone. I'm Tywanah EVETTE, also known as Thunderbird Rising. I have embraced my native side. I am a spiritual coach, spiritual guide, as well as a psychic medium. And what interests me in today's topic is I too have used holistic methods to heal clients. And I am coming up on a time period where the technology is now available personally to me to aid my clients in true holistic healing, the entire body. Plus, I've had my own experience with American medicine. Yes, that's what interests me in today's conversation. And thank you for allowing me to be part of it.
Thank you. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. And Marie, who's joining us for the very first time, and we are honored to have you, Marie. Again, would you like to introduce yourself? Tell us a little bit about who you are and what interests you in healing the spirit.
I'm Marie, and I'm the founder of my business, which is Marie's Wellbeing. It's basically me in a nutshell, is that through all my life experiences, I awakened to spirituality. I've gone through a lot of downs and what have you and life happenings, and I connect. What resonated with this subject is about spirituality, holistic healing, and how it comes together. It's like the whole thing, it resonated with me because that's what the whole thing of my life story is, me finding spirituality and then having to, because life happened and it really, the doors closed and it was like, what am I going to do? And I found the holistic healing. I self-taught myself through, it was like as if I put the pieces to the puzzle and in the dark room type of thing and put it all together. And it's now I'm connecting with people and it's healing them on, what would I say, an unconscious level for them, but I'm actually removing whatever is not serving them. And I'm giving them, because my thing is awareness is part of the healing. I'm an energy healer, spiritual healer, but the thing is I can go along and heal, but the core punchline is giving the awareness to where and how they got to there, because you can heal a person and then they go out and they'll go back to square one. And I'm like, it's fine. That's me in a nutshell. Through my life experiences, everything, in the end, this is where I am. And it wasn't easy because it sounds like it all unfolded, but this is where I got to. And I'm connecting with people and help mentoring, coaching, healing as a holistic. So that's me.
Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I definitely do want to get to know more about you and all your experiences and too. And let's start, Rollie, if we can start with you again, is I'd love to let's share stories or a moment of your life where you felt a deep sense of healing through, whether it's natural, your native wisdom, through your intuition, or even just simply listening to your body.
That is huge. So I was diagnosed with anxiety from the age of 6, lived in chaos for most of my life. And so there's lots of things that were going on. And so when I was around 14, we had, as a family, had the opportunity to be able to start on my own healing journey. And it was part of a family thing. Family decided that they weren't going to continue, but I had the option of being able to continue on my own. And so from the age of 14, I started working on myself, but there was always part of me that was missing. And so I didn't really know what it is that it was missing until later on, when I learned more about holistic practices and being able to use natural medicines. And so using essential oils that was probably my first part of being able to connect with anything that was outside of the norm of like medical and psychiatric type healing. And so I also went into my own. So in 2001, I started with being able to work with people in mental health and addictions. And that continued because it was something that I had worked with, that helped myself. But again, there was always that one part that was missing, and being able to learn that there's 4 parts of us, and there's our mind, body, heart, and soul, and being able to have those 4 aspects connected. And it wasn't until later on that I learned about the medicine wheel and how those 4 aspects fit within that medicine wheel. And so the soul part, the spiritual part, that connection part was one of the parts that was always missing in mainstream mental health. And so even though that was something that I knew that was something that we can bring forward, is that I needed to, like, so while I was in practice, I needed to make sure that I didn't bring in any kind of outside forces of spirituality into that. And so 10 years ago, when I started my own business, that was one of the components that I was able to bring into my own practices, and being able to help people discover what part of spirituality works for them, because some works, some doesn't for certain people. And and like Marie was saying earlier, take what you need and leave the rest, right? So it's always that part of learning and expansion, and being able to bring further into whatever it is that is needed, which is one of the reasons why I'm outside, because we are in this beautiful, it's fall weather for us, even though we're still in summer months, because we're moving into that fall for us. So come into September, we're already into the cold, and sometimes like the sleet kind of rain before we actually move in, because I'm up north in Canada. And so our fall comes a lot earlier than the actual season comes. And so taking advantage of being outside, this is part of that spirituality and this connection, and being able to put my feet on the ground and the trees behind me, and just having this connection.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And thank you so much for bringing your weather into our holistic conversation, because it's so true. We spend so much time, and I should say I spend, and I'm sure I'm not the only one, spend so much time inside, surrounded by technology, that we don't get out and really absorb and take advantage of nature's healing abilities. So thank you so much for sharing that. Thank you. And our beautiful Sallyann, if we can go to Sallyann, who's just joined us again. Thank you, Sallyann. I know we all have tech talk about being in front of tech. We all have tech issues. So Sallyann, would you like to say hello and introduce yourself, and tell us a little bit about you, but also very much like if you have any stories or a moment in your life that you felt a deep sense of healing through whatever holistic approach.
Yeah, thank you so much, Sophia. It is lovely to be here. A little bit about me. Going back, I was we're going right back, I was born vision impaired, and I got a lot of ridicule around that when I was growing up. And I found myself being put in boxes. You can't do this, you can't do that, whatever. From the time I was born, I always felt very connected. Like I felt I had an issue with the darkness. And I now know now because it was coming from the light. I hated the darkness. I was fearful of the darkness. And we've all come from the light. But I just had that knowing very early on. But growing up, I was in a family that was reasonably open and things, but I didn't really step into my full on into my spirituality and my spiritual knowing until I had, I suppose, what I call my semi-trailer year. A lot happened in 1 year. I lost both my parents and actually lost 6 family members in 3 years. And I started connecting with spirit at the same time. A business fell over, marriage broke up, all in the same year pretty much. And I started getting support from elsewhere. And I had some pretty profound experiences, and I started to realize I'm not really alone, even though I feel alone because a lot of people around me had passed. I'm not really alone. And I came to realize that we're never alone. We are always connected, and we always are being supported. And so many things happened that just validated that for me, that support, that we are always being supported, even though it mightn't be in this physical, like sitting here face to face with somebody, we're always being supported, and we can always draw on that support. And I came to realize that there can be healing come out of what happens. And when we all have things happen in our life, and some people call or say or regard the planet Earth we're on as being like a school for our soul's growth and our soul's development. And we choose to come in here for that growth and that development of our soul. And we do have challenges along the way. However, out of those challenges can come extreme growth and extreme learning, and just knowing that support is there and that support will always be there. So I think really when we all have challenging times, just trying to hold on to the fact that we are never, ever alone. Just be open to support being there, and absolutely connect with nature, get out in nature, because Gaia herself has a heartbeat. And if we can connect with that beautiful energy of Gaia, connect with nature, connect with the trees, our environment around us, that can be exceptionally grounding and exceptionally healing to do that. And sorry, what else would you like me to say in all that? What else would you like?
That's all good. Thank you so much, Sally. And again, I totally agree. And I don't know about anyone else. If anyone, if Marie or Rollie and Tywanah have anything else to add, you're more than welcome to. But I personally really agree with you about connecting with nature. We we're just talking about how Rollie is outside on her hammock, and we're certainly not alone. We have so much support, especially from the universe, when we tap into that. And
Absolutely.
I want to go into, after Sallyann, if we have time, about your experiences about being put in boxes and how you overcame that too, because that's also very similar to mine. But if we can, let's just go to Tywanah now. And then, Rollie, Tywanah, would you like to share any stories or moments in your life where you felt a deep sense of healing, and what holistic approach did that happen through?
My spiritual awakening, that started in 2022 with an unfortunate suicide attempt. And I came home to myself through that attempt. We know that everything works for our highest good, although it may not be a good experience. And it came to a point that I would sit outside all night. So my sister had this enclosed lanai, and I would sit outside under Grandmother Moon every night, and she thought I was absolutely batty because I would go to bed at 6, wake up at 10, and sit outside all night. And I'm in Washington, D.C. We have snow. And I bought heated blankets and big Canada coats and things like that just to be in nature. And so essentially, nature brought me home to myself. Nature reactivated the gifts that I had hidden back in the subconscious, like being a medium and being a bridge between this realm and the ancestors' realm. And I had a very bad physical experience a few months ago. Nature, my awakening has taken me through this journey of getting away from the chemicals and things that the United States has in our food, our medicine, and things like that. Even to the point of my ancestors telling me not to eat meat anymore because of the chemicals that are being bioengineered in it. So through that, and then having a bad experience with a medicine for epilepsy, I have found a different respect for holistic healing because I have seen more progress. I have felt better than I ever have in my life since I've been working with an herbalist who's part of Sacred You, who I adore. And some of the things that she has me doing are pretty yucky, but I feel better. My skin glows. I don't have water all running through my body and sitting in spaces. Things are starting to clear out. So between nature and literally holistic medicine, getting back to eating things that are better for me. I had to give up my Lay's potato chips. That was unfortunate, but it's okay. But even with my clients, these are things that I put into practice, and she's probably gotten about 15 referrals because I have become such a believer in earth medicine, being outside in nature, and holistic medicine. And there are no coincidences because what came from all of this was I was upgraded by my great great grandfather on the other side of the ancestors' realm, and I'm now a shaman. So I practice holistic medicine, and that is why they were guiding me through spending 3 years outside and getting away from toxic foods and things like that and incorporating better things into my life. So what started out as a tragedy and something that was very unfortunate has ended up being the greatest blessing of my life.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And it's so true how many times, so many tragedies that we do experience, if we can turn them around, they become huge blessings. So thank you for sharing that, Tywanah. And yeah, definitely agree with you about the meat and everything else and all the chemicals. I think, especially when we live in the Western world, whether it's in America or anywhere in the Western world, that it's all our food now is so full of chemicals. So thank you for sharing that. And Marie, what about your beautiful self? Tell us any moment in your life or your journey that you've experienced healing in with holistic approaches or natural methods.
I'm not sure if you call it holistic approach or natural. What it was, what came straight to my mind is my first beginning of opening to spirituality, and it was a very healing experience, was when I lost my child. I went in a deep depression, so I was like, you could say about 2 years, and I had no one around me that could actually support me. If anything, they were, it's the thing of better not to say something than to say something, because I had people say to me, you should get over it. A wife wouldn't mourn that much about her husband. And it was like that cruelty of words. So I did go in a very deep depression. And what happened was my step-grandmother passed away. And she came to me in a dream. And it was like when I woke up that next morning, I was like as if that depression just went, because this grandmother came and brought me my child, and my son was actually dressed the way I dressed him, and it was just such healing of that dream, that experience. And it was only, I never thought anything of it. It just was going in the process until I ended up watching a TV midday show, and someone was talking about that your loved ones come into your dreams. And the penny dropped, and I was like, how else are they going to come to you? And to me, it was the beginning of, do you know what it is? It's the thing of there's more to life. That's where I come from that. There's more to life than what we know it. Like I didn't know any of this. It was like I was just into religion, and just, it didn't make sense to me, but I was into religion. And then once there was a lot of experiences that has happened of that situation, it's putting the pieces, the puzzles, and it's, what would you say? It's healing from within, connecting to, I suppose, your loved ones on the other side, understanding that we can connect to them and they are there with us. So that it's the awareness of that becomes, you can heal with those. Like, that was just incredible. Like, to explain it, and that part was the healing. So I connected with my grandmother, and she helped and healed me, and it was the beginning to everything, the spirituality world for me as I know it. Yeah. And to actually comment with what you were saying, Tywanah, was, yeah, just now what has happened, and this is, I believe there's a certain percentage of the people are turning to a better health, better eating. Because you know what it is, because my husband got very sick, now we've gone vegan. And I feel that, I feel it's more, if my husband didn't do it, the spirituality, it was, what am I trying to say is that because it was the only way that I would be able to fully do it is if my husband came on board, and like, he got sick, and then I had to do it for his well-being. And now I'm doing it for myself, and it's just amazing, because your body holistically can heal itself by it restores itself. It's just, that is just in itself a holistic healing of the way you eat and the detoxifying from the chemicals and that. It's just, if you were to just do like the healing and the information that you can give to people on just the correct way of eating everything, awareness to what chemicals is out there, like what foods. It's just like, I kept on many years having high blood pressure, and it was like, I thought I ate healthy, but when you actually go and turn around to a natural fruit and veggie and lead, that's probably what our ancestors used to eat, and we're going back to the ancient way of just, I believe we're naturally going back to it, and it's a holistic way of healing your body naturally.
Definitely and absolutely, and totally agree. You know what, it is true. What we put in our body, what we eat, affects it dramatically, whether it's what we eat, what we drink, or what we take. And I'd love to know everyone else's thoughts about that too. And if I can just share my experience really quickly. I was born with a genetic condition, but I grew up in a small country town where they didn't know any difference. So I went down the path of drugs and medications and surgeries, not realizing that the drugs that I was taking to overcome the pain was actually contributing to the pain because of the toxicity. So thoroughly agree with you, Marie, that when we're able to turn our lifestyle around and go back to our natural way of life, our natural eating habits, our natural foods, not the processed stuff that we get today. You walk down a supermarket and it's all full of prepared and everything is quick. We live in a world where everyone wants things instantaneous, instant gratification. So there's no more growing, there's no more even cooking. We find stuff that's already cooked for us and we just put it in a device that puts more toxicity into it. So totally agree with you on that, that when we changed that, when I was able to stop all the medication and went into, for me, sound healing and breath work, my body changed dramatically. My life changed dramatically. So I'd love to know anyone else's. Does anyone else have anything to share about that, to continue, and whether it is what we eat and how that affects? I'd also love, especially Tywanah, for you, and even how does what we eat affect our spiritual well-being?
In my personal experience with my ancestors, eating meat was prohibiting me from getting the messages that they wanted me to receive. And even taking some medications prohibit the messages, because a lot of the medications that are given in the Western world are designed to do that. So me going back to lean fishes and fresh vegetables and cooking. I don't eat microwave meals, and I try to stay out of the center of the grocery store and shop around the edges. I even soak my vegetables and my fruits in apple cider vinegar and baking soda for 2 days to get all the yuck out of it. And you would be surprised what's at the bottom of the bowl when you rinse all of that off. So it was actually getting back to my roots, my Shinnecock Native roots. They ate fish and they ate fresh harvested vegetables. I have found lately that I love vegetables that I've hated my whole life. It's really weird, but I am now able to be that open conduit when I'd like to be, to receive not only what they want me to hear for myself, but for my coaching clients and my reading clients. Because if I am not in the best health possible, how can someone come into my body, use my body as the channel to get through to the person on the other side of the screen who's desperately sobbing and waiting because their loved one passed on and they can't move on with their life? I can't be that conduit if I'm filling it with chocolate and potato chips and meat. So that's just been my personal experience. And I just find that my Native American roots are taking over, as well as my West Indian roots. They're taking over and removing the Americanized planting and just shuffling things around. But I am now able to be that channel, and I can get up and do what I need to do. I even had a family emergency, and someone asked me the other day, they're sitting across the screen from me, and they're like, how are you doing this? How do you have this going on? And yet you're sitting here with a smile on your face. And it's because I take a holistic approach to life now.
Yes.
I can definitely attribute it to that, because what happened would have sent me into a downward spiral years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But because I'm full of vitamins and nutrients and good things, I'm able to still function.
And thank you for sharing that, Tywanah. And it's so very true that when we fill our bodies with the optimum health, the optimum healthy food, whether it's taking supplements or just really good food, if you can find fruit and vegetables that's full of all those vitamins, then it certainly helps us cope in life. Certainly. So thank you. And Rollie or Sallyann, do you have anything that you would like to share? Just come off mute if you want to. Yep.
So I know for me, it has nothing to do with necessarily with the foods, but it has to do with medications and being able to find alternative ways of being able to deal with things and cope with things. And something as simple as being able to have my extra water intake to be able to help flush things out of my system, or the minimizing the amount of medications that I use and using and chemicals in our household. We don't use anything in our household that has, I shouldn't say nothing in our household, because sometimes we do, but for the most part, like it's clean living that we have in terms of chemicals, and reading the ingredient bottles as to whether or not this is going to be the best way of doing our cleaning. So like we use a lot of baking soda and vinegar and things like that allow us to be able to have that. For smells, being able to use the essential oils versus having these scentsy, smelly things, and not to speak poorly about Scentsy, but like it has all those chemicals in it. And I have an allergy to scents, but if somebody's using an essential oil, I do not react in the same way that I do when somebody is coming in full of perfume that is full of chemicals versus that. And so just being able to have those kinds of things, but being able to notice when something's happening and paying attention. And so Marie was talking about, I think it was Marie that was talking about our bodies and having that innate ability of being able to heal ourselves. We have, so creator, God, whoever it is that you want to be able, like whatever it is that you refer to in terms of that higher spirit, is that we have everything on earth that allows us to be able to work through whatever it is that we need to. I don't know how many people now that have plantain recipes of things that you can use with plantain that grows abundantly here in North America. And I'm sure that it grows other places as well. But I mean, like all these different things that we can actually use that are already there. And of course, we need to be using them carefully, and we need to know how to use them and when to use them and when to harvest them, because there's different chemicals at different times and things like that. But being able to find alternative ways of being able to heal our bodies allows us to be able to have whatever it is that needs to happen. So like I know that when I had appendicitis and it was rupturing, I had to do surgery. It wasn't an option in that particular moment. Had I have known sooner, I might have been able to do something to be able to help heal that. But in that moment, it had ruptured and I needed to have surgery. So that wasn't an option. But what was an option was me being able to say to the doctors, I'm very sensitive to medication and I need you to be cautious as to how much that you give me, because I will react in a way that is not going to be helpful to my body. And so they were able to give me a very small amount of medication to be able to help me get through the surgery and the things that they needed to do. And they monitored that very carefully. And I only had to have a small dose because I don't use medication for pain for the most part. Like I said, not to say that I don't ever use anything, because it depends, right? So I use the Western medicine with the holistic medicine based on what it is. Holistic medicine is my first approach. But if I need to do something differently, then I look at that. But being able to drain our lymph nodes and things like that. So being able to use dry brushing and all that kind of stuff to be able to help us with moving our lymph around, like that in itself is healing, and being able to get out and doing exercise. And so something as simple as going for a walk allows us to be able to bring our cardio rate back up and helps us with that sedentary movement. A lot of us sit behind a screen and work behind a screen. So being able to get up and being more conscious about that. So in the last couple of years, I have been walking in the middle of winter. I don't do winter. I've never done winter until the last few years, where I actually do go and I take a walk. It might not be as long as I would in the summertime or in the warmer weather, but I have actually bundled myself up and figured out how to be able to keep my feet warm, and away I've gone. And I feel so much better come winter because it is so dark and it is so gloomy. And it's been really helpful to be able to do something as simple as just being able to be a little more active, right?
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And I to agree again with everything, especially about the winter. Well, I would assume on how challenging it is to live where you are, especially in the dark and gloomy, but getting out in nature when you can, it would be so vital. And also our bodies, that we do need Western medicine in some circumstances. We live in a world now where if you have an emergency operation or if you break a bone, that's there to help us. I fell over and smashed my shoulder. I went and had surgery. I didn't wait. It took me 2 days before I actually realized that it was broken. And I believe that a lot of that is through the breath work and the sound healing, that I didn't actually have any pain. You know, and someone said that you've broken your shoulder. I said, no, I haven't. I'm not in any pain at all. Right? It was only because I couldn't move my arm that I eventually went and got it checked. And they said, you've absolutely totally smashed your shoulder. It needs to be totally reconstructed again. And of course, yes, you go down surgery ways. But like you, Rollie, it's okay. It's minimal medication. And as soon as the surgery's over, then you get back to the natural ways as much as you possibly can. We live in a world that has these medicines, that's there for a reason, but it's taken within what really is needed and what we can't do holistically. So thank you for sharing that. Anyone else? Would anyone else like to share anything? Sallyann, do you have any other experiences?
Hi, thank you, Sophia. Pardon me. Talking about getting out in nature reminds me of when my parents died in 2001. Basically, what happened was my dad passed first. When my father passed, I was in this profound grief. He died 6 weeks after being diagnosed with cancer. I was very close to my father. I was in this profound grief. And what I used to do was at least 3 mornings a week, I would get out and I would walk from where I lived along the beach into town. Now, that was a 2-hour walk from where I lived. So I was doing that 3, maybe sometimes 4 days a week. I was walking early in the morning for 2 hours along the beach into town. Now, on those walks, there were times when I felt my dad with me, which was very healing. There were also times when I felt my mum with me, and she hadn't passed yet. Dad passed first. She passed, but she was actually with me. So I had experiences of being like a young child walking between my parents. One was still living and one was about to one had passed and one was about to transition. And so walking along the beach was very healing. But stepping forward a bit, when my parents passed, a little while after that, I went to a local GP because I was getting various health symptoms and I wanted a checkup because I didn't know for me whether it was something else going on or whether it was just grief, because I was in a deep grief because I'd lost both my parents, a marriage, a business, and 4 other family members in 3 years. And so I knew I was in grief, but I thought I'm getting all these health symptoms. And so I went along to the GP, pardon me, told him my story. And he said, oh, you need antidepressants after all that. And I said, no. I said, I just came here. I said, I know I'm grieving because I wanted a checkup. Anyway, so I had a checkup and I decided there's nothing wrong with me. I'm just grieving. So I left and I continued beach walking. And basically that, being out in nature and doing that regularly several times a week, it just helped me so much. Being by the water, my bare feet on the ground, just walking it out. And so important to be out in nature. I could have taken the option of, oh yeah, I'll have antidepressants to numb me out, whatever. There's no way in the world. And I'm so grateful that I was guided to just continue walking. I was supported by spirit, felt my parents around me at various times, and continued walking. And then, as I mentioned, my father passed first. And it was interesting, when my mother was about to pass, she came to me in a dream one night and she said to me, don't be upset. I'm going to be with Dad shortly. I love you, but I'm going to be with your father. 2 days later, my daughter said to me, oh, that she thought her grandmother was going to pass soon. And I said, yes, I believe she is. She won't make Christmas, I don't believe. And I said, why do you ask? She said, 2 nights ago, she said she had a dream where her grandmother had come to her and said she was going to be with grandpa shortly. Don't be sad. She loved her. So on the same night, she came to both of us with the same message, and then she passed shortly afterwards. So for me, those experiences of walking along the beach between my parents, one who'd passed, one who was about to pass, and then those dreams and being out in nature, it was also very healing. And I'm very grateful for the support and those experiences. Yeah. So yeah, just if we can be in nature and be open to support from spirit, I think it can be very healing.
Absolutely and totally agree. Nature is nature's or the universe's most natural healer. It's a wonderful healer. All our indigenous cultures uses nature to heal. All their medicines and everything else, and even best grounding yourself, as you said, Sally, walking in the beach, walking on earth. We spend, again, this is from my experience, I spend far too long walking around in rubber shoes and not connected to the earth because of my physical condition. I need to wear shoes all the time, but it's such a difference, even if it's just going out and putting a hand on a tree and you can feel the energy and you let that energy flow through you. So, and so very healing. I love that. Thank you. I'd love to know, before we wrap up, another thing that I'd really interested with all this wisdom and all your beautiful sharings. So thank you so much. I'd love to know for you, for anyone who'd like to share, how do you actually listen to your body or your spirit when something is out of balance? How do you actually know that your life is out of balance?
So for me, the first experience that I had was being able to like just know that I wasn't okay. And when I knew that I wasn't okay, it was just being able to hear. So it's like my legs were hurting or my back was hurting, or and so I connected with Louise Hay, and I think she's from the US, or was from the US prior to her passing. But I had somebody had introduced that to me or something. And so one of the things, so if I stub my toe, I actually look up, what does the toe mean? And so it's like I stubbed my toe because I tripped, like it's not a big deal. But when I started paying attention to what my body was saying, so if my back was hurting or my ears were ringing or had an ear infection or anything like that, it would be like trying to tune in. So that's how I started. Like now I can tune in. So like now I can tune in and figure out like, what does that mean and how does that happen? And what is my body trying to tell me? But when I first started, it was being able to access resources, being able to access other things that are, and Louise Hay is one author, there's many other authors, but she was just the one, she's still my go-to. And that's one of the things that I've introduced my clients to, because it just allows us to be able to have an affirmation, to be able to, like, my body is my vessel. My body is able to heal me. And so like when I pay attention to how I'm feeling about what it is that's going on, allows me to be able to have that connection. So for me, and like I said, that was how I first started connecting. And now I know that if I've got a pinch in my neck, it's okay. So what's going on? What weight am I carrying in my shoulder? Whose weight am I carrying? So if it's on my right or my left, then it's like male or female, that kind of thing. And then it's, oh, okay, this isn't mine. This belongs to somebody else, and I'm being burdened by somebody else's issues. And so being able to have that reminder. And so now that's how I'm able to. And so the newer thing that I'm paying a lot more attention to are the signs. So like when birds leave me a feather, or when I'm seeing a dime, or if I see something shiny and sparkly, what does that color mean to me? That kind of stuff. So like really paying more attention to what is going on around me.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing them, Rollie. Tywanah, you've been nodding.
Because I love Louise Hay. I just got this book and I was so excited to receive it. But she is incredible. And she was one of my first teachers as well, her and Donna Eden, where, they talk about, for example, if you're in a space where you can't ground, if you take I forget which kind of metal spoon it is. It's not the junk that we have in our drawer usually, but a certain type of metal spoon, can't recall. And you place it against your foot, swipe it downwards, it reverses your energy and it grounds you. And I too will look up the meaning of everything now, but I know when I'm carrying a client's weight. I can go back to the conversation and remember where they said something, and now all of a sudden I'm feeling that. So I've gotten into the practice of cleansing my energy every day. And it's truly simple. I literally put sea salt and a couple of other items in my body wash when I purchase it. This way I never forget. So I cleanse other people's energy off of me every day, whether I recalled to do so or not. But my body's very good at telling me, you need rest. You need to do this. And lately, as of late, I have been very good at saying, you know what, you're right. And I have not allowed my guilt of obligation to other people to take over what my body is saying she needs, because what happens is then she spirals. What could have been a half a day of just taking off turns into 2 weeks and I can't move. So I'm so glad you mentioned her, because I just got this book. I'm loving it. I have a lot of her other books and things like that. Watch her on TV, her and Donna Eat. But yes, the body knows. Your body knows what it needs always. If I have a craving, like I had a crazy craving for eggplant the other day. Eggplant. But I made it and it was the most delicious thing I swear I've ever eaten. That's what my body needed. There's something in that food that my body needed. So I have learned lately, especially, to really just tune in with her. And whatever it is she needs, I give her.
Yes, I was just saying thank you, Tywanah, because our body is our natural healer when we listen to it. And thank you so much. Marie, do you have anything that you'd like to share before we wrap up?
Yeah, I suppose it's more or less, yeah, my body, yes. It was like, so I suppose when I had my sciatica, and it's the messages, my body gave me messages of what it was that was I needed to progress to move forward. Yeah, it's a good idea to get that, to do that, to see, but I knew when it was my sciatica, it's me, because it's in the solar plexus, and it's me holding my power, having my confidence, because I was like Marie's Wellbeing. I never showed my face. This is going back when I started my business. I had my business, did all the introduction, but it didn't have a face to it. That was because I didn't have the confidence around me in my town to say, Marie, this is what she does. So my body was like, whoa, we've got to give her this lesson. And I literally was like out of action in bed for about 2 months probably. It was crying, like I literally every day was working in progress. It was like, get that hot water bottle, get that circulation happening, go in the shower, like, and have that shower, because I wouldn't be able to walk. So it was forcing me to move through the thing of eventually saying, because you can't do anything, so you're in that deep thought, you're doing the processing of what the heck, because I wasn't able to get up and do meals or anything. It was literally bedridden and working on just everyday things. So because it got me, my body got me to be like that, eventually I worked out, well, it gave me the confidence and courage, because that's what I had to work on at that particular point of time. It was like, then I was like, I had a friend that sort of pointed it out to me, and I was like, she pointed that out at the same time that I was going through this, and I was like, that's a message, and it combined it together. It was like, what's so, do it, and I did it, and it's so, my body is like, when, you know, yeah, like you say, all depends what part of your body. It's a message. It's a message for you to work with, to process. Yes, sometimes it is other people's energies that come on you, because I'm an energy healer. I had one time where I had a friend that she turned around and she wanted me to tap in to see what's going on with this person. And I learned at that particular point of how, like, I've always, like, protection is very much needed, but because I only tapped in a little bit, I was like, oh, I didn't think of it, because it was just like, I looked in it and I said, wow, this is, and then, you know what, I was out of action for a couple good days. And because I've got my coach, he said, you know what, you didn't cleanse yourself, and because they are that. So it's my body's taught me through the process of to recognize when I do have heavy attachments, work through my, if I need to be more creative, I go working with my solar plexus of what it is in what zone and go from there. So yeah, that was an experience. Everything is always an experience. And I always believe you've got to learn from your experiences so it doesn't repeat. So that experience of being in bed because I had the dark energy, because I didn't cleanse myself, because I tapped into, mind you, she actually passed away too. I saw that it was very bad, but I was like in disbelief of what I got as the reading, and they weren't I wasn't able to give out the message so I just went, and within a couple of hours, that was it. I was bedridden. I was fatigued, nausea, just in bed. And when I spoke to my coach, he gave me the awareness of what was happening. Yes, so that was, like I said, it's learning from the experiences.
Absolutely. And thank you, Marie, and totally agree with you. Our body is our greatest messenger.
Yes.
It will tell us, it will give us messages, it will give us signs. And if we don't listen, then we get dis-ease and illnesses when we don't listen to those messages. And problems, and Rollie's coming in on her phone. Easy, not a problem. Sallyann, before we wrap up, I'd love to go around now. And if you have anything else that you would like to share on listening to your body, but also tell us if you have any offers. And for you, Sallyann, what is one daily ritual that you use that brings yourself back to healing your spirit and holistic approaches to well-being? Do you have any daily rituals that you would like to share?
Yes, each morning I try and, when I first get up, try and spend a little time connecting to spirit and just having some quiet time and connecting in and asking for messages. I have started doing some Qigong. There's some really good on the internet, really good Qigong videos. I'm not very good at that. I need to get more into that. But it's important for me also, regardless of what I've got on during the day, to spend some time outside. And where I live, I'm fortunate that I can walk down to, there's a bit of a marina, I can walk down there, and there's some trees on the way that I hug. And so just spending time with the water. So they're the things that I really find helpful for me, that I try and make sure I do every day if I can. Some days I might not do all of them, but I try as much as I can to do them every day. With the work I do, my background very quickly is I'm a qualified counsellor, and I'm also a quantum consciousness facilitator. So what I'm offering people is a complimentary discovery call, if they would like that, to chat for 15 to 20 minutes, to just see where they're at and see how I can support them on their journey. So just a discovery call to see where they're at and where there's any way I can help them. So a complimentary discovery call. So that would be what I'm offering at the moment.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we will be putting all your links below.
Thank you.
And yes, getting out in nature, even if it's just for 2 minutes.
Yes.
Every day. So thank you. And Rollie, what about you? Do you have any tips that you would like to share, or any for your, what is a daily ritual that you use that brings yourself back to yourself?
So right now, the time of the year for me is, from the time that it gets warm enough, is being able to be outside. So I spend a good 90% of my time outside. And so we haven't had a lot of rain this year, which is nice. Yeah, nice and not, because of fires, but being able to be outside and really being able to be connected. I bring my laptop outside, which is one of the reasons what was happening is my laptop was running out of juice before we got finished, and I had to swap over to being on my phone. But just being able to be outside. And so I spend the last 2 years, I've spent a lot of time building up my flower beds and really building that part of things. And I have a 2-year-old grandson who loves to be outside, so I get to be outside with him a lot. We're trying to teach him not to pull flowers, just weeds, but we're still working on that. But just being able to be outside, cutting the grass, just doing all those things. And then come winter, I don't spend as much time outside. Minus 40, 45 degrees Celsius is a little cool to be like just hanging out outside. So it's very targeted as to how much I do outside. So then at that point, it's really going inward and being able to tap into myself in journaling and those kinds of connections, which I don't do that so much in the summertime. The summertime, like from spring until fall, like I'm like really connected to the trees and to nature and the grass and being able to walk in my bare feet. Most of the time my feet are green because I walk in the grass most of the summer. And so it doesn't matter how much I scrub, they're still green. But it's just that being able to just be connected into that energy. So in the winter months, as we move into the colder weather, will be more journaling and more time for reflection, that I'm more consciously doing that versus I'm still connecting through nature and still having that time for that introspection, but it just looks different to me in the summertime versus winter. Yeah, and something that I am offering and focusing on a lot is my wisdom cycles. So it's my wisdom cycles full year program. So I have women that come in and we work through the cycles of being able to work with anxiety in some more natural ways. But the biggest part of it is being in community and being able to support each other through all of that. So that is one of the focuses that I have right now as we're moving into fall in my neck of the woods and into spring for many other neck of the woods.
Thank you, absolutely. And again, we will be putting all your links in the comments below. And before we move on to Tywanah, Rollie, can you just tell us, because you're also the host of our Moon Medicine Circle for Sacred You, tell us a little bit about that.
Moon Medicine Circle is we actually talk all things to do with moon medicine. So moon medicine for me is not just following the cycles of the moon. It is also bringing in energetic healing, being able to tap into crystal healing and essential oils and all things mystic that bring in those conversations, because it is like fully in general as to everything that we're doing. And we meet on Friday, 6 p.m. my time, 8 a.m. Australian time. Is it 8 a.m.?
Yes.
And yeah, so then and we have some beautiful conversations, and depending on who's in the group, so I'll either teach a lesson depending on who's there or being able for people that are catching the replay. But the biggest part of it is having those natural conversations.
And it is, and thank you for sharing that. And I can say your tribe is one of our tribes that really goes into the holistic approaches to well-being. So whether it is using the moon, whether the energy of the moon, the crystals and everything else, that it really is all about connecting to the self and healing the spirit. So thank you. Thank you for sharing that. And Tywanah, what about your beautiful self? Do you have any rituals that you would, or just one ritual that you use that brings you back to yourself?
Every morning, and even the dog knows now, I get up, and before I do anything, I serve my ancestors coffee and tea. So if you walked into my house, you would think I was a lunatic, because there are little coffee and teacups everywhere filled with coffee and tea. But it's my time with them. It's me paying homage to them for being here, for loving me, for choosing me. And it's the time that I receive messages from them and insight and wisdom. And then I do my gratitude journaling. I haven't been as good at meditating lately because there's just a lot on the mind right now with what's going on. But yeah, that coffee, that tea, that paying homage to them. And even Rollie shared something with me that I wasn't aware of with feasting my newest ancestor, who I am named from. And I typically do feed my ancestors maybe once a month, but I did not realize I was starving because she was starving. So we made sure she ate. I am also the host of the Psychic Essence Collective Tribe here. We meet tonight at 7 p.m. my time. I think that's 9 a.m. your time.
Okay.
And I am in Eastern Standard Eastern Daylight, whatever time we're in Eastern. My free resource is the Rise and Reclaim Sacred Awakening bundle that includes an ebook that I've written, as well as a 15-minute sacred strategy call with me and a 3-card oracle pull with explanation.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
My pleasure.
We've got some more exciting things coming up with Tywanah, including a summit and also some free readings, which we will put all the information down below. So thank you so very much. And Marie, last but not least, our beautiful Marie, before we wrap up, tell us for you, is there a daily ritual, just one ritual that you use that continues to bring yourself back to yourself in a holistic way?
Because I'm an energy healer, my daily routine is always just going to center and having to imagine the light cleansing me. So I begin with the light in the center and it's all beaming through me, like right through me. So it's working with the light, visualizing and like calling my energy back. So because I'm in with the energy, it's all about energy for me. So I'm calling the energy back to me and then I'm visualizing so it's cleansing my whole aura, my whole being, and then I'll even go to the whole of my town, my room, my town, Australia, the universe. Like I just would do the whole lot because it's all about centering myself, cleansing myself, and connecting to everything all together. I do it as a quick and simple thing. And because I live on a property, I'm always like, I am a lot online, but I'm also outside, outdoors. So it's beautiful. I'm just taking nature just for granted, but in winter, I don't often go out there and walk barefoot, but I'm out there in nature doing it, just absorbing it. But in summer, you won't see me out there with any shoes on. I'm out there barefooted.
And it's so true. And it's so nice.
Yes,
Getting out of
beautiful,
nature.
beautiful.
Thank you.
So, yeah, what I've got to offer is I do a comprehensive healing, and this comprehensive healing that I've got, I will throw in a card reading, but the comprehensive healing is I do the energy healing, but then what I do is I go through a whole list of emotions, attachments. I give the whole evaluation because I work with the pension. That's how I connect to the information. I give them a full, by the time I finish, I give them the healing, but the awareness. And I give them the awareness to what's actually going on, because the card reading is giving me everything how it got to there. What is it that they're doing? What is it they can improve? And the words would just give me, in the end, it just gives me a full diagnose of information.
Okay. And thank you for that, Marie. Sorry to cut you off because we are wrapping up. We're now over time. And I do know everyone else has to leave. So thank you for that. We will be putting all your details below. And I do recommend everyone who's watching this later, reach out to these amazing women who have just given up an hour of their time to share their wisdom about healing the spirit holistically. Holistic approaches to well-being, whether it's getting out in nature, whether it's breath work, which we didn't even really cover, or energy healing, getting back to our spirit. Reach out to these women on all the links below. I want to thank Marie for joining us for our very first time, and Sallyann and Rollie and Tywanah, who are tuning in from, again, all over the world, for joining us. And for more information, click on the links below. Reach out to also for Sacred You at that sacredyou.love. And come and join us. Come and join us for our other wisdom circles. We're also about to start our archetype circles, and we have panel discussions, and all our tribes, our special interest tribes, which Rollie and Tywanah are also hosts of. Plus we have many more. Our Sounds of the Soul tribe is almost about to start. So I just want to thank everyone again, and we will see you again very soon. Thank you.